Hello, my internet friends. Yes, that is you, my one viewer out there. Welcome to the Rigel Show, where we are sitting here in my backyard, this little earthen hut, earthen dome that I built with my own hands and a shovel. A lot of digging back here. This place, while it is called the Earth Dome in my backyard, hey Sherry, nice to see you. It is also known as my mystical driftwood fort on the sandy beach of the cosmic navel, where song runs through all reality. Hey, Sam. Nice to see you as well. Just a little note on that reality. I was born in the 80s, but I was culturally conditioned in the 90s because we didn't have a TV until then. And that's when I ran across the Backstreet Boys and may or may not have spent a little time maybe dancing to their music while singing their music. So I don't like to share that with everybody, but now that we're out here on the internet, I just feel like this is a safe space. You know, when the spotlight's on you, it's like anything can happen. All right, a little vision casting here. Y'all are welcome to click that link to come on in or wait a little bit, whatever kind of bubbles up in your heart. A little vision casting. This space is a playful Theotokian riparian zone that seeks to integrate traditional values, modern values, postmodern values, and that which is emerging on the horizon of the evolution of culture and consciousness, postmodern values. It's in the air, folks. But is it an aroma or is it a stench? Hard to tell. But some people are calling it metamodernism, metagelical, developmental philosophy, integral theory, spiral dynamics, meta-naissance, like Renaissance, but meta. These smells are swirling into my nostrils, and I kind of like it. Kind of like the way I like to smell my own farts. I was going to keep a straight face, but I see Sherry laughing over there. Can't do it. And I'm out here on the internet to smell and release these inner aromas with you. I'm just going to bring you guys right on here because the world needs to see this. Oh my God. So today, Sam and Sherry and my internet friends, I'm going to burn some of this inner incense by reading a poem / stream of consciousness that I emitted this morning by pen. Okay, you guys ready for this? Yeah, keep yourself muted, and then we're just going to open it up and play. All right. This is my poem is a generous way to put this, but you know, I'm going to stop making excuses. That's like the number one thing you're not supposed to do when you share is make excuses. And here I am making excuses. Stop. I'm done. Okay. Happy Interdependence Day. I love my independence, but I don't love being lonely. I like to be free to make my own choices, whether a man or a woman or a they, but I also like to play, which means that part of me is in you if I am going to be aware of the situation. I am is in you as much as I am is in me. And that problematizes a clean independence. It depends on our future together. Is there room for me in you on this Interdependence Day? I also want to thread opposites together on this groundless ground where the sunrise sings harmony with the dark side of the moon. Yes, the sun listens to her quiet attention to the stars. Can the sun see all the stars beyond his corona? Or is he blind by his own light? Too much of a good thing? Makes the whole world blind. Too much independence makes the I-thou incomplete. I want to know you and be known on this great and holy Interdependence Day. Grief has a seat, a plate, a fork, a knife, and a steaming pile of fresh grilled broccoli at our table. Opposites dine together, and maybe get a little tipsy and argue and then make out on this great and holy Interdependence Day. But if you want your freedom, I respect that. I've been there, and I'm still there most of the time. Let's grow together this time around. Let's find the spiral dance up towards the sun as our branches seek the light that listens on this great and holy Interdependence Day. Happy Interdependence Day. All right, that is my offering to the world, to the internet.
Offering accepted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for
great.
that.
What's shaking with y'all? Sam, you have the day off. This is amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was trying to think what could I bring that was Rigel, like, you know, they talk about audience capture, and Rigel is my audience, so it's like, what would he like? And the fact that you were just describing something emitting from you, I thought I would share this is my most I don't know. Let me just share this. It's very short, but I thought you might appreciate it.
Okay, I'm here with you.
All right. Writhing in the riddle of the mediocre middle, will I ever start to whittle away the feeling of second fiddle? Am I big or am I little? Does it matter if the griddle sizzles with pancakes made of piddle filled with poop-flavored Skittles? Taste the turtlicious rainbow. Waste the moment, waste the day, though. The game is mostly pain, so is it worth it for the gain? No.
Yes.
I forgot to mute myself. Sorry.
That's fine. No, I like the feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, poop-flavored Skittles. That's my love language, really.
All the colors.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. My there was a time in the 70s where there was this like olive color that just permeated everything. Kitchens, you know, tile, everything was this, and my dad used to call it shit brindle brown. Oh, it was so disgusting.
I love it. Well, what's bubbling up for you two on this day? Sherry, you're not
I'm not.
Have you ever lived in the US?
Yes, I lived in Michigan for almost 2 years when I was
Okay.
15,
Oh.
16.
Okay, so you've been around for
I've been around.
the fourth.
What part of our beautiful state did you live in?
I lived in South Haven.
Oh, okay. I love
Went
that
to
area.
church in Holland
Mm-hmm.
because I'm Canadian, so my father has no problem with like marathon treks to church in the morning. Right.
Sure.
And shopped in Kalamazoo, went to Grand Rapids, Benton Harbor, all the things.
You're hitting all the right notes, man. That's great.
Never went. Well, actually, we did go to Detroit once and got lost in a very scary part of town.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Don't
My
want to do
dad's like,
that.
roll up your windows and lock your doors.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to make a quick note. I am a Detroit Tigers fan. I just happened. This is only like my red, white, and blue that I have. So I just thought I'd put this on. Please don't. The Tigers are having a boss year, so I just like go Tigers.
Rigel, I love your title, Interdependence Day. But I was wondering if if in reality it's Codependence Day.
Well, I mean, the way this whole thing emerged is I had dropped my son off at Nana's house, and I was driving back in my truck up I-35, having this kind of like, tomorrow's the 4th of July, and like it's Patriotic Day, and like, am I really patriotic? Like, what am I patriotic about? I always just 4th of July is kind of the most annoying holiday for me. I love Thanksgiving. I love Christmas. I love all of those, Pascha. But I just get kind of annoyed by 4th of July. It's just where I'm at in life.
Sure.
And I was like arguing with myself out loud in my truck about I don't know what I was saying to myself exactly, but I think I kind of like ironically yelled like Happy Interdependence Day. And I was like, ooh, you know what? I mean, maybe I just need to rebrand this holiday in a way that I can get behind fully.
Yeah.
I mean, who has the authority to brand a holiday anyways? It's
Probably our president, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you.
He has the power. He has the power. He has the power, but I don't know if he has the authority.
Oh, I see.
Okay, see where we're going here?
Okay.
And I mean, there isn't there kind of a Christian practice of like entering into the beautiful holidays of the people of a current land and kind of like rebranding it?
Yeah.
So that's maybe what I'm doing, is infiltrating the people of this land.
Well, it is we the people, right?
It is we the people.
You
Oh, I love your gut, Michael. I have that same one.
You do.
You too.
Oh my God. I'm just like, that's my gut.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it's tiny. What I like about it is it's tiny, which makes me just look even more enormous. But it also is like the right size to keep coffee. Like the coffee that I get to at the bottom is still warm.
Right.
My other cups, if I fill them up.
Like my jug.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to read it. Read it.
Okay. It says, once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. Now, run along, and it says run along and don't get into mischief, but the handle kind of obscures the don't.
Oh.
And so maybe it is run along and get into mischief is kind of the way I'm reading this. Maybe the do and the don't is it's a both and.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. It's very, very great.
Go
ahead.
Oh, no, you go, Sam.
No,
Go.
No, I was going to change it to something more weighty and thinky-talky. So
roll
you talk.
over again to Interdependence Day, patriotism, all that kind of thing. We had the 1st of July. That was our Canada Day. And Canadians go, we do this. Then we put our flags away. Here's the deal. I'm going to try to keep it really like succinct. Okay. During the trucker convoy, after the trucker convoy, when Canada Day came along, Justin Trudeau told us that we couldn't celebrate Canada Day because it was nationalist.
Shoot.
Okay. Canadian flags, not good. Okay. We are a post-nationalist country. Now we have Justin Trudeau 5.0, okay, with Mark Carney. And he's all over it. Get your flags out. We're Canadian because now they have an enemy, right? Trump.
Right.
And so this Canada Day, I just sat it out. I mean, I never really got into that kind of thing, but I do have a patriotism, and I think this is worth talking about because I remember one of our conversations was about home, and I said I want to talk to Rigel about place, right? And when I lived in Michigan, it was literally a foreign country to me. There are just so many things, and I thought the border is almost invisible anyway, right? Like, so there's a few people you wave at, and then you're in. So I'm like, okay, the trees look the same, the air smells the same, the cars look the same, the TV programming is the same, right? But then I go to school, and it's not the same. Because now I'm confronted with stuff that didn't exist in my life in Canada. Anyway, I got really, really homesick living there because it was my first encounter with culture shock, really. And it was a culture shock on a very minimal level, really, because if you go to India from Canada, that's another thing. But when I came home, I went out in the woods and I prostrated. Okay. So I'm like 16, don't even know that orthodoxy exists. And I kissed the ground because I felt like I had come back to my mother. Right. And I was so happy to be home, but I couldn't have called that, like I couldn't have waved a flag about it, right? And then the other thing I wanted to add to that was during that trucker convoy, people lined up. Like this was the thing that really ripped my heart out because everyone, the world was topsy-turvy. We were being locked up. We couldn't travel. Some people, many people couldn't travel, couldn't get on a bus, a train, or a plane domestically, internationally. Like, we were just cut out from society. They were talking about not letting unvaccinated people going into the grocery stores, couldn't go to the movies, couldn't go to a restaurant. Like, it was really, it was terrifying. Right. And it was January in Canada. Okay. That's cold. And there were people lined up on highways for hours waiting for these trucks to go by. And they were holding up signs that didn't say, "Oh, Canada." They said, "True North, strong and free." Okay. And I know from my own experience of prostrating on the ground and kissing it, that is the Canadian identity. The Canadian identity is the true North, strong and free. There's no other country, maybe Russia or Mongolia, that can boast the elements that we have to deal with in this country, right? And most of the country is uninhabited. It's just wilderness, right? And I think that's the kind of patriotism that most Canadians are attached to. The fact that they know that everything over their heads, because most of them live right on the border of the United States, everything above them is greater than they are. It's greater than they are, right? and it, you know, it really moved me to see, probably because of my own experience, those banners, True North, strong and free. You know, it had nothing to do with government or culture, or it was about the land, you know. So, and I hear it in not a lot of the dialogue around American patriotism. There are these superficial topics like the Constitution, the fathers, the experiment, but there's also this nostalgia of Yellowstone and New Mexico and the Sierra Nevada and right, the land, the Great Lakes,
Hmm.
you know, the Oregon Trail. This is where humanity comes into contact with nature, right, and has to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just wanted to kind of maybe contrast the ideological way that we can be patriotic, or the thing that is sacramental to us, the place
Mm-hmm.
that shapes us. Because I think that we are shaped by the landscape,
Mhm.
literally. Like,
Yeah,
so anyway,
Definitely.
thoughts?
that's
my own
interesting.
opinion.
That's fascinating. Is True North strong and free? Did that precede the what'd you call it, the march with all of
Truckers Convoy.
the truckers convoy?
Well, True North, Strong and Free is in our national anthem. So it's, oh,
Oh,
Canada, you know, we stand on guard for the, I don't even know it.
yeah,
True patriot love. Anyway,
yeah.
True North, Strong and Free is in the national anthem. And that's what they picked out. Okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the truckers that picked it out. It was the people waiting for them. And they were standing on the sides of these like incredibly lonely, remote areas of a highway with rocks and trees, and it, you know, it's minus 25 degrees Celsius, sometimes more, and they're in the snow, and they're holding up these banners, you know, with little kids too. That's the killer. It's like when you go to the Orthodox Church and you watch the little kids go up and kiss the icons. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, it's a killer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. True North, strong and free. Those are also just really tasty values. I mean, there's
Yeah.
energy behind all of those. True North, strong, free, which is interesting because if I were to try to just sum up the values of America in three kind of concepts, it would be like freedom, justice, and I don't know what the third one would be.
Liberty.
Freedom, justice, liberty, yeah.
Is liberty different than
Liberty's
freedom?
kind of freedom.
Freedom-y, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can get behind all of those actually, but there's actually something more visceral about True North, strong and free. It's it's almost sounds even more Wild West than America. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, when you say that,
US.
what comes to my mind is that it's attached to the land.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the whole, all the what do you call it? All the patriotic feelings are directed towards the land itself, right?
Yeah.
Not the concept of the country.
Yeah. And the cardinal direction north only means something when you're on the surface of the earth.
Right.
It's orienting in a way that maybe a sort of a conceptual frame of, liberty and these other ideals maybe not.
Yeah,
be
and I
at
mean
least-
the North, isn't it the North Star that people orient themselves to when they're moving in the world?
Yeah.
As a point of, always being there.
In some, I think it's like a, what you call it, reference point.
Yeah.
So you're either moving in some relation to it.
Right.
Yeah. So all the other stars will move around it, but that stays in the same spot all the time.
Which is kind of like the immobility of the land itself. Like the land is, we have not conquered this country.
Right.
There's and the inhabitants are mountains, rivers, lakes, glaciers. Like those are they take up more space than we do in this country, right? And they're not conquerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just, because I don't know. I think I mentioned once that I saw this podcast about the 7 basic plots of a novel. So there's like 7 basic plots, but the setting can change. Like it's infinite, right? Because it's actually comes out of your imagination. So that's why we have different genres. Like we've got, whatever, science fiction and fantasy and all. We can make shit up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And the setting is, I was thinking about the other day, the setting is the context. Like we all have a life. And I think what a lot of people, the reason a lot of people need, well, not the reason they need each other, but part of the dynamics of interdependence, let's say, is that our stories are basically the same. We struggle with the same difficulties, right? So it's like that 7 basic plots to a story. But the context of our lives, that's the thing that's the most fascinating. It's like why Paul Vanderklay says, what kind of home did you grow up in? Because what he's looking for is your context, right? Your place.
Right.
And how we all manage to overcome those obstacles, right? Those physical obstacles in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you all listen to Paul Renee Nichols talking with Nate? I think it was just yesterday.
No, I saw it, but I didn't.
I haven't caught up. I'm still working my way through Luke's stuff.
No worries. Well, they were talking about Paul Renee has sort of a perspective where he's pointing to the failure of basically he's pointing to what he's aiming at is like tribalism. He's saying is a good thing. So he's pointing to like this sort of idea of connection to place is also a part of connection to people, and this interdependence is like an important part of who you are, is like who you are within your community, but like community in more than just like a consumerist, I can pick and choose my community because I get to like, make my capitalist consumerist choice of like, oh yeah, I'm going to add community to my life. Let's do that. It's like, no, you're in this because this is who you are and your identity is shaped by that. Like you can't just go leave to the city or like go to this thing unless you have the blessing of the people that you're with. And I think when I heard you talk about interdependence, Rigel, and even Sherry, when you're describing the place idea, it really does hit home for me in terms of that as well, because I went through a period of my life where I was in a place among a people, and that was my entire kind of upbringing. And then that was totally shattered. And so then I had to go through this transition from like being a thing that's in this culture group to like being individuated in this totally new thing. And a lot of the poetry and stuff that I've created actually came out of that intense period of like just transition and suffering and all of that. But I do have a poem related to that if you guys don't mind me just sharing.
Oh, please. Yes, this is fantastic.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I wish everyone had, my wishes are coming true because y'all do have poems for like every point you're trying to make, which I just feel like the world is changing for the better.
So this is just a short one that kind of hints at this idea, but it's called Regret. I once had a dream where I threw a huge party and everyone I let down came. By the end, we had talked it out, hugged, and laughed about how deep down we're really all the same. We're all chasing a purpose bigger than ourselves, with a dream of being something one day when. And as I woke, I knew I might always rue I wasn't bigger than something for them.
Wow. That line, everyone I let down came. I once had a party where everyone I let down came. That is intense. That is like, oh my God. The great.
That would be like Thanksgiving at my parents' house.
Really? Well, it makes me think of like Confession or something, that the intensity of it, where I'm facing, these relationships that maybe I've broken. And I'm really good at just kind of moving on and being very forward thinking. And it sounds like an opportunity for some kintsugi repair.
You know how we say water under the bridge?
Uh-huh.
Well, I
Okay.
have a bridge going over my creek when I go up to the barn. And every year I dam it up a little bit because I ran water down from it to another pond. And I need a little bit of pressure for that to come down. So I have to make the water deeper in the creek, right? So I dam it up a bit and then I run, I let the water flow over, right? But when the water levels go down, the water doesn't flow over much. It just kind of sits there because, evaporation, condensation, all that kind of thing. And what ends up happening is that spot under the bridge just gets gross. It just fills up with algae, right? So, there's a good thing about water under the bridge when you can just let stuff go, right? But some people think that there's, it's just water under the bridge, right? But for other people in your life, that's dammed up, man. And it's like, it's festering in there, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got an actual bridge out there that teaches me that story.
This is why we have to keep talking, Sherry, because I'm like in concrete land now. And it's like, being a Michigander, growing up out in the rural areas, it's like you do feel a connection to that. And like, you just can't help but have that in your psyche, your consciousness. And so you're like my connection to the outside.
Did you live in the UP by any chance ever?
I never lived up there, but I've been there several times, and that is a whole nother level of wilderness.
Yeah, and I lived just above it, right on the border in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario.
Yeah.
Like I never lived anywhere very long, but kind of my formative years, my high school years were in that town. So once upon a time when the economies were interesting and fair, we used to go over there and get gas.
Sure.
And eat at the restaurants and, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The big locks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On Lake Superior.
Yeah.
Just thinking about home, patriotism, the kind of land embodiment of that, being in nature, and place attachment. Have you all ever run across this concept of place attachment?
Well, maybe, but I don't know what that is.
It's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's like, our kind of the way, I mean, it's just our kind of emotional connection to a particular spot on this earth. And I actually did back in the day when I was doing like real estate, and I was trying to combine community building and intentional communities with real estate, trying to help people who want to live together do that. And we would have these meetups where we'd have like guest speakers come and do different activities. And one of them was a woman who taught community theater. And she taught us, she had this, I think she teamed up with like an urban planner. And this was like an experiment that they wanted to get a group of people to kind of connect with this space that they were like, I think, trying to redevelop. I don't actually remember what happened with that redevelopment, but the experience was amazing. We got a group of like 12 or 15 people together, and we did all of these like group activities in this space that had been, it was kind of forgotten, dirty, and just kind of gross part of Austin. And we did these like kind of lead follow activities. We acted out plays. We like interacted with the space in a way that like I will never forget that experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's like locked in there now.
It's kind of like being a kid, and you know, like my daughter, and I often had other people's kids, a lot of people who didn't know how to deal with their teenagers would send them to me, and I'd have them for sometimes a whole year.
Oh my gosh.
And they would go up there and build these forts by the creek. And when they were really little, they'd be like, "Mom, you got to come and see our fort." And I'd go up there, and I couldn't even see where it was. Like, it was so in their imaginations, right?
Yeah.
There'd be like a log across another couple sticks, and they'd be, "That's the kitchen, and that's the," you know.
Yeah. And like some tamped down
Like,
grass.
it just looks like helter skelter to me,
Yeah.
you know. But that, I think that's what that exercise would have done for you, Rigel, is really like spark the imagination to create the you know, the world within the space that you're in, right? And then it gives it a whole new, like, for them, when they went up to the creek, that was a home. Like, there was a building there, it had rooms and functions, and they also had roles. I'm the mother, you're the father, and you're the kid, and you know.
Yeah. And so the next thing I was going to say is I just discovered, I think, a new place attachment technique for those of us, particularly who live in the city and have, you know, it's just harder to get out into nature when you're in the city. I don't know if you find that the case, Sam, but
Sure.
Yes, 100%.
one of my son's friends' moms turned me on to nature journaling. Have you ever heard of this? It's
Yeah.
like apparently a thing. Like,
Oh yeah.
got YouTubers out there doing it. And there's this guy who has like, you know, he probably has like 46 videos or something on like some new thing to do every single day with this nature journaling technique. And my son and I have gotten up each day this week, and we watch this like 13-minute video, and then we go out and do this nature journaling. And it is like, it's incredible. The kind of creativity and the wonder and just the kind of like adjacent tangential ideas that come out of actually just looking at nature, and which bleed into, you know, theology and everything. And I was really surprised by that. And I've been doing it with my son, who is, he's pretty artistic, but he's also very like technical minded. And I've been trying to figure out ways to like get him. I'm really trying to get myself outdoors, but you know, if we can do it together, then maybe we can create some momentum. And it's been pretty cool to watch both him kind of grow in his just in the last 4 days in what he notices. Like one day you just focus on like noticing, wondering, and connecting. Like this reminds me of. And so you'll be drawing, you'll be like being super technical, drawing arrows and like blow up little diagrams. I can actually, I brought something to share here.
Please.
So I can kind of, this was yesterday's nature journal. Here we go. So this was yesterday, and I started the flower in the kind of, you see the full flower view.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably 25 feet away. And then I got up close and drew kind of the base that the petals are connected into. And it was just like a whole different world up close. And then it reminded me of like the way that the petals kind of do this round thing and then point at the end. It reminded me of like a Hindu temple or, that type of architecture. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is probably where that architecture came from, is like, people just looking at, and then, then a poem came out. All right. Through my eyes, God sees herself, and I see you infused in the everywhere present, filling all things. Lull me into your gentle wonder. Fix my eyeballs with your persistent iconography.
That's amazing. That's great, Rigel.
And that's just all came from like getting real technical, just like looking at a plant.
Well, okay. Look up Metamorphosis of Plants by Wolfgang Goethe. So Goethe sat there and stared at a plant for a long time, and he came up with a scientific discovery that the leaf becomes the flower. Okay. And 50 years later, a botanist confirmed it, but all the credit goes to Goethe. And guess how he wrote that out?
How?
He didn't write a paper or hypothesis. He wrote a poem.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you really need to, Rigel, you really need to know more about Goethe's, what they call Goethe's delicate empiricism.
Ooh.
Because he does not dissect, right? He does not kill to dissect. That's anti-Goethean, okay?
Interesting.
And here's another little gem. Rudolf Steiner was tasked with retranslating, or we'd call that digitizing today, but he had to go through all of Goethe's work and just reorganize and write it out. And that was his job as a very young man. Totally changed his life.
Wow.
So he became Rudolf Steiner because of Goethe.
Interesting. Okay.
Because Goethe saw that the world is not about the destruction of something and the replacement of another, of that thing with another thing. That's not how that's not how reality works. What reality does is transform itself. It's always in the process of transformation. So Goethe has his own color theory, which was a response to, who was it that did who did the prism with the light going? I'm not sure if it was Newton.
It feels like Newton.
Goethe's just like, get away from me with that crap, right? So he had to develop his own color theory. And yeah, anyways, he's a fascinating character. I don't know enough about him, actually. Like, you basically know everything I know about Goethe at this point.
Well, no, you've got my interest piqued because I've, bumped into some things by Rudolf Steiner, and he's kind of a mystic.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's a scientist.
A scientist, yeah.
As well. See, Rudolf Steiner was actually a doctor.
That's right.
Okay, and Rudolf Steiner Man, Barfield was an anthroposoph, okay? He was the head of the Anthroposophical Society in England, or one of them, for like 30 years, okay? So, and he says in Saving the Appearances, Barfield says, Steiner is one of the most important people ever.
Wow.
Okay. And so Steiner believes that final participation is what Barfield calls it, right? Is actually the marriage of science and religion, or, religion's not a great word anymore, but that was what he said.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a sacramental worldview and a scientific worldview, let's say. Those two things coming together, which is exactly what your nature diary was, right? And that's how Goethe discovered things. He allowed the thing. So this is the whole idea of, like in my essay, can you accept a thing for what it is? That's what Goethe did. Okay. He didn't impose himself on it. The way I've been able to describe the metamorphosis of plants was I empathically resonated with it, okay? Because I could imagine Goethe just laying in the grass, following the lines of this plant, or probably from the ground up, right? Because that's where it starts. So, and then discovering that, oh, it's the leaf that becomes the flower. It's not some entity on its own. It's extension of this thing, because he already believed that everything was transformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but he didn't impose himself on it. He allowed it to be itself, and he followed it. And that's where it took him.
Yeah, it sounds very like the ethos of Montessori.
I think Montessori riffs off of Steiner, actually.
Yeah, I think so. But it makes me think of like, watch the self-restraint I have to kind of impose on myself doing this with my son, who I'm like, you're not doing it right. Like, try harder. Like, this isn't but then, so like one of the things that I noticed this transformation happen in him just like over a few days is he was kind of drawing a caricature of what he was looking at, what he kind of a predefined idea of what this object is. And then on day 3, he suddenly, I'm getting tingles.
Yeah.
Like, he followed the lines of the leaves. And when my wife looked at it, who went to freaking art school and is like, she has a master's in like design. She was like, this is amazing. I have a hard time drawing what's actually in front of me. To actually draw a leaf coming out at you is very difficult. Like, you have to trust your pen. It's like, it's a different part of your brain.
It coming towards him.
Yeah. And she was like, this is incredible.
Well, here's the thing. That's that reverse perspective. Eugene Terrakin talked to me about this because he mentioned it once in Lives of the Saints, and I'm like, what is that? And because he said that's how icons are drawn, right? Reverse perspective. And he also said that's how children draw. And here's the deal: reverse perspective. What it does is it allows the thing to presence itself to you. It's presencing, Rigel. And that's why your son can follow the lines, because now he is literally empathically resonating with it. And that is Goethe's delicate empiricism. That's it. Right in a nutshell.
Dang it. Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
That's so that's a really great way to describe what I try and do in my work. And sometimes I get there, which is I'm supposed to observe people using software, essentially. And it sounds like you're like, oh, software it's again this hyper technical space. They're like, what is it? So like, isn't that dehumanizing? But actually, there's a way of observing someone and inquiring into them, which is it's like listening. We call it generative listening. You're listening with such intent that it actually creates the kind of atmosphere where they can respond in a way that like actually is what they feel, think, and say and do, not just sort of like what they think the script is, like that they're supposed to tell you. And sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't, but it's like, it's very,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so you have to tell me, like, give me an example. What do you do? Like, give me an
So-
example.
He's a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing you do is you just say, I'm going to take notes. Like the kind of that posture is, I'm going to be observing. I'm going to write notes until I know what I'm supposed to write notes about. I'm going to be asking questions until I'm asking questions that I know that I should be asking. Like, so you come in with total like zero, like expectations of what you're hoping to see or should be seeing or anything. Like, kind of like you're saying the caricature before. It's like, you really just have to drop that and leave that behind. Like,
Yeah.
And when you come into that space with just like a total willingness, like some of it is just practice, and you come in just saying like, whatever is here, I'm here to see what I'm here to see in this moment. It's almost like saying like, God has me here for this moment. Like, let me be, like you're saying, the eyes through which I can see is like this. This is the moment. Like, what are my eyes seeing? What are my ears hearing? What am I observing? And sometimes, like I used to say, like, you could get a feel for the rhythm of the room. Like, it's almost like the music of that space starts to, like, you can feel like, that's when this creak happens, and this when the door opens, and this when the wind moves here, and you sort of feel it, and you can almost like get a,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But again, it's I don't have like a technique. Sometimes you're just more.
Well, I find that really fascinating that you actually brought in the context of the thing that you're observing. So the thing isn't a thing without its context.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I can remember running across a flower and going, wow, look at that. Isn't that weird? Why is that growing here? It's just like all of a sudden, that's a miracle. And then when the Holy Spirit taught me to pay more attention, look around, Sherry. I suddenly saw the connections. Well, that's why it grows there, because this is growing here, and this is a companion plant to this. And here's a wild thing that I observed in my gardening years. I'll plant potatoes, and then this weed will grow in my potato row that doesn't grow anywhere else, and it looks exactly like a potato. Okay, it's a weed that looks exactly like a potato, and it doesn't grow in my carrots. It doesn't grow in my leek. It doesn't grow in my onions. It only grows in my potato patch.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not like, and it's all one big garden, right? Like, it's not like the potatoes are over here and a different acreage. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. How do you know where to grow? And why are you doing this? Right? So this is the whole thing about place that just, I haven't really even put my finger on it, but it's just so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today's video for our nature journaling was about context.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and drawing the image like as close to real size as possible, and then zooming out, and you see the greater context that it's in. You can draw a map. It's really fun. You can draw like a profile view of like the tree and its actual context that it's within. But then when you zoom in, and then it becomes its own context. And like you start to see these fractal, like I just started zooming in and I'm seeing the same patterns just kind of folded in and yeah.
Right. Well, that's just, like seeing that shape on the flower.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, we think we come up with these things.
Yeah.
They're just bombarding us like all the time. Like, we're just literally sucking it in through osmosis, right? And then we go, oh, I got such a great idea. But there it is.
I love that you say about presencing it. And I also think there's something to somehow we have like, this is how we mediate a place. I think about basically doing the inverse of what Christ condemns the money changers for, where he says, you've turned my what should be a house of prayer into a den of thieves. Like they had the capacity to take a place and to make it like corrupted, essentially. And you can sort of do what I've noticed is, especially in places like that are full of prayer, for instance, they have this capacity to reverse, like to actually bring and to elevate this place into something that's even more poignant. Like you have this desire to sit in it and to really experience what's there. I mean, I just heard Roger talk about that when he went to Hagia Sophia, but of course, whenever you go into a monastery, like this past week, there's a monastery that's near where my new work is that I've been able to stay at like overnight. And so it's been like just this really wonderful opportunity. It's like the monks are just like praying like so much. And I'm like, this is great. I need this, but it's just opens your eyes to see like you're saying, those tiny sort of microscopic details are all part of this entire panoply of the glory of God that is always just bursting forth if we just have eyes to see.
Yeah. And it's in the weeds that are growing out of the cracks in the concrete. My son, he made this observation. He was like, Papa, you want to know why this is growing here? It's because it gets shade from Mama's car when she's driving over. And so it's like just enough shade to like keep it cool, because everything else on the concrete is just freaking dead. But this one little shrub is like bursting through with a little yellow flower.
Yeah. I want to know, what about concrete sort of symbolizes, like concrete brutalist architecture? Like, why is it that makes us feel a little bit dead inside? Like, what is it about? Because there's certain things that are properties. I mean, it's certain that we could imagine, well, this is a created sort of property that you could benevolently work with to elevate its character. But for some reason, maybe our culture, we haven't chosen that path, or maybe we've lost connection to the.
I have an idea.
Yeah, I have ideas too. Go for it, Sherry.
Well, it's literally ossification manifested.
What's ossification mean?
Yeah,
again?
tell me more.
When something becomes hardened and infertile, right? Like, so like if you walk on I've got paths back in my woods where my horses use all the time and nothing grows on them, right? They just, and they get like a little divot, and it's great to follow, right? A lot of animals use it and it's necessary, but ossification is like, it's a hardening. So, and we know ossification in the sense that we lose the meaning of our words because we overuse them, and then they don't have that same effect on us anymore. Sunday school stories is a really good Sunday school answers is a really good, I think, example of ossification, right? Where you ask someone for some advice and they give you the Sunday school answer, and you're like, it just goes, right? Because it's a really hard surface. You can just blaze right, like you can just like scoot right across it, right? And nothing grows in it. Nothing grows in it. Okay. The only way anything grows in concrete is when the thing itself comes from the fertile earth and breaks the concrete. It has to break it. Right. So, and then the other part of it is fertility. Like somebody said it, I was watching briefly this morning, something, what was it? Oh, Nate did a live stream. I watched it like very briefly because it was a whole conversation about liberalism in America and all that stuff. And somebody said, oh yeah, they're going to talk about emergence, and I'm like, you have a problem with emergence? Like, if you've ever gardened, given birth, or brought a lamb into the world, that's what things do, my friend. They emerge. Okay. That's the organic process. Emergence is an organic process. And if you just have this like laissez-faire, like, see, and this is an ossification of the word emergence. Now it's ossified, right? It's overused, but the true meaning of emergence is that's what birth is. That's what seeds do. You know, that's how concrete gets ruined, through emergence.
So,
Life finds a way.
yeah. So what's
Quote a
the
great philosopher.
what's the connection between emergence and liberalism and America? Like what
This
can you guess what
this
they
is
were trying
that
to get
show.
No, this was just somebody trolling in the chat
at?
and saying, not liking the panel probably, and saying something like, "Oh, now they're going to talk about emergence."
Yeah.
Because the person who said it is so left-brained that they can't even imagine anything emerging. Everything has to be constructed as far as they're concerned.
You know what this reminds me of? Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They pave paradise and put up a parking lot. Ooh, da, da, da. Ooh, da, da. They took all the trees and put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50, $25 to $150 to see them.
Yeah, that's what it is. My favorite girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I picked, before it gets too late, I picked out 2 things to read, okay? This morning. With no idea what we were going to talk about. And I know where they are in the book, because I can geolocate stuff, right? I don't know why. But I don't remember exactly what they say.
This is just, we're just sprinkling seeds out here on the internet.
And I want it to say something to me. So I really want to read it now. Because after our conversation, I don't know which one to start with. I think I'm going to start with the story. So this is The Wise Woman by George MacDonald. There she is. Cool. See her?
Mm-hmm.
Wrapped in her black cloak. And just to give you a quick background, so you know where we are. There's a king and he has a daughter, and she's becoming difficult to handle. And suddenly this wise woman shows up, and she's kind of the anti-witch in the Snow White story or whatever. She's a wise woman, and she takes the child with her, and the child doesn't go willingly. Okay. So she just, without saying a word, the wise woman reached down her hand, took one of Rosamond's, that's the girl, and lifting her to her feet, led her along through the moonlight. Every now and then, a gush of obstinacy would well up in the heart of the princess, Rosamond, and she would give a great ill-tempered tug and pull her hand away. But then the wise woman would gaze down upon her with such a look that she instantly sought again the hand she had rejected, in pure terror lest she should be eaten upon the spot. And so they would walk on again, and when the wind blew the folds of the cloak against the princess, she found them soft as her mother's camel hair shawl. After a while, the wise woman began to sing to her, and the princess could not help listening, for the soft wind amongst the low, dry bushes of the heath, the rustle of their own steps, and the trailing of the wise woman's cloak were the only sounds beside. And this is the song she sang. Out in the cold, with a thin worn fold of withered gold, around her rolled, hangs in the air the weary moon. She is old, 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 and her bones all cold, and her tales all told, and her things all sold, and she has no breath to croon. Like a castaway clout, she is quite shut out. She might call and shout, but no one about would ever call back, "Who's there?" There is never a hut, not a door to shut, not a footpath or rut, long road or shortcut leading to anywhere. She is all alone, like a dog picked bone, the poor old crone. She fain would groan, but she cannot find the breath. She once had a fire, but she built it no higher, and only sat nigher till she saw it expire. And now she is cold as death. She will never smile all the lonesome while, oh, the mile after mile, and never a stile, and never a tree or a stone. She has not a tear, afar and anear. It is all so drear, but she does not care. Her heart is as dry as a bone. None to come near her, no one to cheer her, no one to jeer her, not a thing to lift and hold. She is always awake, but her heart will not break. She can only quake, shiver, and shake. The old woman is very cold. As strange as the song was the crooning, wailing tune that the wise woman sung. At the first note, almost, you would have thought she wanted to frighten the princess, and so indeed she did. For when people will be naughty, they have to be frightened, and they are not expected to like it. The princess grew angry, pulled her hand away, and cried, "You are the ugly old woman. I hate you." Therewith she stood still, expecting the wise woman to stop also, perhaps coax her to go on. If she did, she was determined not to move a step. But the wise woman never even looked about. She kept walking on steadily, the same space as before. Little Obstinate thought for certain she would turn, for she regarded herself as much too precious to be left behind. But on and on the wise woman went, until she had vanished away in the dim moonlight. Then all at once, the princess perceived that she was left alone with the moon, looking down on her from the height of her loneliness. She was horribly frightened and began to run after the wise woman, calling aloud, but the song she had just heard came back to the sound of her own running feet. All alone, like a dog-picked bone. And again, she might call and shout, and no one about would ever call back, "Who's there?" And she screamed as she ran. How she wished she knew the old woman's name, that she might call it after her through the moonlight. But the wise woman had, in truth, heard the first sound of her running feet, and stopped and turned, waiting. What with running and crying, however, and a fall or two as she ran, the princess never saw her until she fell right into her arms, and the same moment into a fresh rage. For as soon as any trouble was over, the princess was always ready to begin another. The wise woman therefore pushed her away and walked on, while the princess ran scolding and storming after her. She had to run till, from very fatigue, her rudeness ceased. Her heart gave way. She burst into tears and ran on silently, weeping. A minute more, and the wise woman stooped, and lifting her into her arms, folded her cloak around her. Instantly she fell asleep, and slept as soft and as soundly as if she had been in her own bed.
Lovely.
I remember reading that part when I was reading the book, and I never cried so hard in my life. Because the whole time I was reading this book, I was the obstinate princess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm like, I was just like, oh my God, you're so terrible. You'll never, because you don't know how it's going to turn out, right, when you're reading it. And I was like, I need to repent, but I got to keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
I need to repent, but I need to keep reading, and it was just, and the beauty of that passage to me at the time, and I don't know what it says to anybody at this moment, but was that as soon as she heard her feet running, she turned and stopped and waited. Because God is the wise woman in the story, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead, Roger.
Yeah. I mean, the second line in my Happy Interdependence Day poem is, "I love my independence, but I don't love being lonely."
Oh, there you go.
And
there it is. There's the connection.
Yeah, and I feel like there's this, maybe that's where wisdom starts, is in the integrating of these two parts of me being me and me being part of a larger, being part of a we. And it's not an either or. It's not one is better than the other, but it's easy to get kind of pulled into one side of that polarity.
Yeah.
And but it's a positive, I call it a positive polarity. It's a positive polarity where both freedom and belonging are good and beautiful, but they can also create some sparks with each other.
Oh, that's exactly what that passage illustrated.
Yeah.
Freedom and belonging.
Mm.
Like the wise woman never tried to stop her. She just kept on going. And the girl could, run away. And when she did, all she wanted to do was go back because she was alone. All alone, like a dog picked bone.
Yeah.
And as soon as she felt that, she had to go back. And the other part that I love about it is that the wise woman took her hand. She didn't have a choice. So there's a freedom, but then there's also not, like we call it grace.
Yeah.
This is one of the things about Calvinism that always made me go, what?
No, and this is...
You can choose hell, but you can't choose to get saved. Wait a minute.
Well, and this is, for me, this is we're going down the getting into other channels territory, but this is kind of the universe. This is what moved me from being kind of like a neutral, hopeful universalist to kind of a more what do you call it? Certain universalist. This idea that yes, the wise old woman and me as a father to a son, I have this ability to both fully accept his freedom and I know how to get around it creatively for his benefit. And it's not a, this is just the way development works. The person that can see where you can't see, they can help you get there.
Yeah.
And it's not a trampling down of someone's freedom. And this is just how, like, Christ, he appeared in the upper room. He walked through freaking walls. There was a locked door and he went through it.
Yeah.
And that's the power of, being a parent or a loving parent, and so that's kind of my case study on universalism, is just being a dad.
Yeah.
I have another poem that's related.
Come on.
I don't know if I should do the whole thing or just the part that's more relevant.
We need context. We need context, Sam.
Any context? Yeah. We have 15 minutes. I have kind of a hard deadline at 1.
Sure. Okay. We'll probably go 3 to 5-ish minutes then.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Start your day. Refuse to bow. Refuse to pray. Choose banal over mystery. Choose ignorance over history. Let darkness invade your depths. Let sorrow pervade your breaths. Bend the knee, please. Forget sovereignty with ease. Decide to make your own way. Decide to walk freely today. But God will not be your second thought. You're not your own. You have been bought. Tragedy destroys the lascivious soul that exchanges lust for self-control, then feels condemning vitriol. You selfish ass, unruly foal. Lust brings your feet to death again. Walk freely, yes. Walk free from sin. Freedom was earned for you to be. Be pure, be godly, be holy. But how? No verse on lust and purity would ever be quite complete without mention of the deity. The deity, Jesus of Nazarene, came down into history. God and man? What mystery! Perfect in love and chastity, he embodied pure humanity, defied the great insanity of selfish man's depravity, including the immorality of ravaging sexuality. Of immaculate pedigree, his father, God, can it be? He ripened to Trinity, pressed on the tree at Calvary. Red wine ne'er had such pungency. Why? What a wonderful question to raise. The same, I think, that for 3 days haunted women who'd fixed their gaze on their strong tower, now freshly raised. See, Jesus inspired in them such trust. He filled them with hope that one day lust would be laid down and put in the dust. He must not be dead. He must. Their mournful wails can now be heard as life was crushed. Hope that had stirred was laid out to rest with his dirge. If he was dead, then who would be their savior from indignity, their savior from the domineering, relentless craving, lusting, leering? They knew no other man could ever his relentless urges sever and demonstrate such self-control that they would never fear his goal. But Jesus, he had such grace. Jesus, just look into his face. Jesus, manly, denied himself. Jesus, though he had no wealth, nor comely visage, nor beautiful form, Jesus made women adore. So what? Again, good question, but not so quick. There is more to my shtick. Women perhaps had given up hope. All humanity reviled the son of the Pope. Man and woman together spurned the begotten. Death had left them burned. But women did what they knew to do. They arrived first at the tomb. They fulfilled the act of service, while men were scared. Such disservice. See, Jesus rewarded the human race by putting woman first in grace, while cowardly men locked themselves away. Jesus appeared first to women that day. Get to the point. I'll get there. Patience, kindly please. Your focus on efficiencies in order to live a life of ease has sullied your capacities to think deeply on ancient things. But no worries. First, another tale, a great tale. God made man. God made woman. The delightful bit about that phrase, though it's seen in a haze. Do you get it? Do you see? Can you piece together the story? Great man with all your intellect, great man with all your strength, great man with all your wisdom, wit, and countless accolades. It's simple, yet significant. Order is profound. Adam first, Eve second. Now how does that sound? Well, Jesus sings a new verse, God's glory to redound. God appeared to woman. God appeared to man. The point? We men had made a mess of things. We treated women with caprice. Instead of servants, selfless kind, we demanded to be kings. So Jesus came and mocked us, showed how stupid we'd become, how puny, how pitiful, how absolutely dumb. He did it all with truth and grace. He did it all with love. But gosh, Peter, James, and John, did you have to be so up? Before Christ died, you showed the side we men tend to run from. But Christ rebuffs even the chance from fleeing guilt by association. That's how they acted. I would never. I've said it. I've sinned. I've engaged in misogynation. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Judas Iscariot, Pilate, Herod, Roman centurion, no man may be forgot. Even he who carried cross for Jesus was unwilling. Even he had to be told to participate in Jesus' killing. All turned aside, all despised, all brought him to his death. None righteous rings so clearly as he labors for each breath. Be righteous rings so clearly as he takes his final breath. It is finished. Jesus, God and man, in death puts death to sin. It is finished. Jesus shows us, male and female, how to win. P.S. One word he spake while on this earth haunts young men still today. It chills us to our bones. It makes us act afraid. Anyone who looks at a woman lustfully, and all its implications, makes us shrink into the dust and flee. Imagine a sickly nation of dying dunces devilishly despising gender wholly, of boys hidden in masks of men making games at glory, of unquestioned, unchecked sexual beings forging their own story, of losers lauding, lazy and lewd, while calling Jesus boring.
God, Sam.
Sam,
Man.
dang it.
Sam, you just made me cry like several times in there. Okay, I know Rachel has a hard stop, so I got to read my second piece because I don't know what it says. I don't like that.
I just want to say, Sam, I feel like like this is like Psalms of the New Testament with Sam. Who knew that you were such a prolific poet?
Oh gosh, it's just
Like,
unreal.
yeah.
I was just thinking to myself, you need to put a book together, Sam, because I would buy
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Psalms
Poor
of
guy.
Sam.
Psalms of Sam.
I do believe everyone needs to write their own psalter by the end of their life. That's
That's
kind
what
of a
Graham did. Graham Pardon.
really.
Yeah, he went through. If you want to hear something absolutely mind-boggling, just go back to Grail Country Channel, look for the Northwestuary Conference, and look for Graham's talk. He reads an essay that he wrote, and it is just incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This is from Simeon, the New Theologian.
Yeah.
New in Orthodox terms. Come, true light, come, eternal life, come, hidden mystery, come, nameless treasure, come, ineffable thing, come, person who flees human comprehension, come, ceaseless courage, come, true hope of all who are being saved. Come, resurrection of the dead, come, powerful one. You do everything, always. You transform and change with a single gesture of the hand. Come, fully invisible, untouchable, impalpable. Come, you who always remain unmoving, though you hourly move and come to us, who lie in the underworld, though you yourself live above the heavens. Come, name most desired and encountered more than anything. But to say about you what you are, or to know what you are, we are absolutely forbidden. Come, eternal joy. Come, unfading wreath. Come, purple of our great God and sovereign. Come, girdle like a crystal, transparent and studded with precious stones. Come, unapproachable refuge. Come, the king's purple in the right hand of holy majesty. Come, my poor soul has needed and needs you. Come alone to alone, for I am alone, as you see. Come, you have isolated me and made me alone on the earth. Come, you have become my need and made it so that I have need of you who are accessible to no one. Come, my breath and life. Come, the comfort of my contemptible soul. Come, my joy, glory, and unceasing consolation. I give thanks to you because here, amid turbulence, change, and dizzying motion, you have become a spirit one with me. And though you are God above all, you have become for me all in all. Ineffable drink, you can never be taken away, and you ceaselessly pour yourself into the lips of my soul and copiously flow in the source of my heart. Shining garment which burns demons, purifying sacrifice, you bathe me with unceasing holy tears, copiously shed from your presence among those to whom you have come. I give thanks to you because for me, you have become an unfading day and a sun on this side of its setting. You have nowhere to hide yourself, and with your glory you fill universes. You have never hidden yourself from anyone, but we ourselves always hide from you until we wish to come to you. For where can you hide if there is no place where you can rest? Or why would you hide yourself, you who do not despise anyone, do not fear anyone? Create now out of me a tabernacle for yourself, meek Lord, and live in me. And until my death, do not leave. Do not separate yourself from me, your servant, so that I too, at my death and after my death, will abide in you and reign with you, God who reigns over everything. Remain, Lord, and do not leave me alone, so that when my enemies come, who constantly seek to devour my soul, they will find you in me and run away for good and not defeat me, because they will see you, stronger than all, inside, dwelling in the mansion of my humble soul. Truly, just as you remembered me, Lord, when I was in the world, and when, without my knowledge, you yourself chose me and separated me from the world and placed me before the face of your glory, so even now protect me through your unchanging, perfectly stable abiding in me, so that every day, contemplating you, I, mortal one, may live, so that possessing you, I, poor one, may always be rich. This way I would be more powerful than any king, and partaking of you and drinking you, and hourly being clothed in you, I would enjoy unutterable blessed delight, since you are every good and every adornment and every delight, and to you belongs the glory of the holy and consubstantial Trinity, which is glorified in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and is known and honored by the whole community of the faithful, now and always and forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
And then Pavel Florensky writes, Amen, Amen, Amen.
Wow. I really like that.
You know, I was thinking of the little story of the wise woman when he was saying, you know, when I was in the world, and when without my knowledge you yourself chose me and separated me from the world and placed me before the face of your glory. It's exactly what she does to the little girl. She's like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Mm. Well, that feels like a really juicy way to end this stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's really beautiful.
Mm.
Thank you all for coming to hang out with me.
Thank you.
It's Interdependence Day. We have to.
It's Interdependence Day.
It's my Independence Day holiday tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to rebaptize this guy.
Oh, man. That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you, Rigel. And I know you both have probably lots of stuff planned, so have a great holiday weekend. Enjoy it.
You too. And I think I'll see you all next Friday. And then the following Fridays are a little bit up in the air. The following Friday, the week of the 14th, I can't remember what Friday that is, but something like 19th or something. I'm going to be at Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. No internet, and it's just like an all immersive experience.
Nice.
And the week after is up in the air. But
by the way,
yeah,
I double checked because I wanted to tell you this, but I wasn't sure if I was right about it, and it's true. D.H. Lawrence, he lived 20 miles north of where is it Taos? Taos?
Taos, yeah.
Yeah. He has a ranch there. You can go visit it.
Really?
It's got a sanctuary with a icon of the Virgin there. I saw a picture of it. Wow. And he wrote when he died, the owner of the ranch gave it to his wife, and then she gave it to some historical society because of who D.H. Lawrence was. But much of his personal revelation was from being there.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, I got to tell this to Rigel.
Yeah, St. Cristobal, New Mexico. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's like, wow, that's like a few miles from my mom's house. Okay, so, yeah, so my mom is the one who lives in the Taos area, and we're like an hour and a half away.
Oh, I see.
We go and visit her, and
oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh, that would be cool.
You know what I would recommend, because he's just so incredible, is
say it.
Grab a book of his poetry, read it, and then go do a pilgrimage.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you have any favorite books
Oh,
of his
just
poetry,
grab
or
a
just grab
grab.
one?
Well, here's a favorite. What's it called now? Just look up D.H. Lawrence, The Machine. That's an incredible poem. It's a favorite of Paul Kingsnorth's.
Okay.
But anything he wrote, like I read you a little excerpt from an essay that he wrote about, when you go to bed, say to yourself, I'm dying. I'm dying now, right? Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that little fun fact recommendation, Sherry.
Yeah.
All right, Sherry, Sam, blessings be upon
Thank
your
you.
heads.
Have a
And
great, yeah.
we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Bye, Sam. It was fun to be with you again.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Always a joy. Be well.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.